Tatis and there. Great game. 50 seconds to go. Hurts. Deep shot. Hold in, Devontae.
Sure.
And before the press conferences even start. I mean, we could talk for 45 minutes just about how atrocious the defense is.
Good morning, everybody, and welcome to Trending in the AM right here on DSM Media. We're live, Facebook, Twitter, Twitch, YouTube, you know the drill. Smash those like buttons, smash those share buttons, retweet it out on Twitter, and make sure you head over to the YouTube page to get involved with the conversation and hit subscribe while you are over there. Best way to get involved, put your comments right on the screen just like that. Trending in the AM, the best damn morning show ever. That's right. That is what we are. So make sure you head over to the YouTube page, hit that subscribe button, and let us continue growing this brand and this show. I want to take over morning shows. I want to take over the morning show conversation. The only way to do that is with your continued support. So we appreciate it so far. We are brought to you on all DSM shows by Manscaped, the leader in men's grooming products, the goat and below the waist maintenance. Make sure you check them out. Manscaped.com. Use promo code TRENDING at checkout. It gets you 20% off, free shipping, and it lets them know that the beard sends you. So Manscaped.com. Promo code TRENDING. It is Football Friday. We're going to have a little Sixers talk, but first of all, as always, welcome back in my co-host, Jason Voorhees. How you doing this morning?
What's going on, brother? How you doing?
I'm fantastic. Are you ready for the weekend?
Absolutely.
You are? Because I thought you were going to make a joke saying, hey, we're in retail. There's no such thing as the weekend in retail. Because that's what I always tell people when they say, oh, you ready for the weekend? I'm like, what difference is it for me? I work Friday, Saturday, and Sunday every single day of every single week.
Well, yeah, but I still like weekends. Obviously, Eagles are out of the playoffs, but I love playoff football. So
yeah, who does?
We got a lot of it this week.
Yeah, we do. We're gonna dive deep. Most of the show we'll be talking about this weekend's divisional games, and I think there's 4 fantastic games this weekend. So that could go either way. So I can't wait to break them down with you. First off, again, I've got this new tradition on the show, the National Calendar Day and National Day Calendar, and I gotta look at these national days of today. And there's some really, really stupid national days today, and I want to bring them up to you because some of it I don't get this. It is National Hyaluronic Acid Day. Do you even know what hyaluronic acid is? I Google searched it, and even after Google searching it, I still don't know what it is.
I mean,
why is there a national day for something that I don't know what it is? Today is National Hugging Day. In this current day and age, I would not recommend going around hugging people. Definitely do not come up to me at the pizza shop and hug me. I'm not a hugger. But today is National Hugging Day. Today is National Squirrel Appreciation Day. So, Jason, when you're driving to work today and you see a squirrel run across the road, just slow down. Don't try to run it over. Slow down. Let it pass. It is National Squirrel Appreciation Day. And it is National Granola Bar Day, which I don't eat granola bars, but to all you people out there, go have yourself an extra granola bar. That was the most useless segment of the show, right?
Dude. Yeah, these days, some of these days are, that acid day. I wonder if that's something. Never mind.
No. I read it. It's a polysaccharate molecule, which is one of the chief components of connective tissue, forming a gelatinous matrix that surrounds cells. That is from Wikipedia, which you can't really believe Wikipedia, I guess, all the time. But that is what it is. I'm not sure, but yeah, that is what that is.
Sage.
Yeah. What's up, Sage? How you doing, buddy? We're missing some good days over the weekend. I did look since we don't do shows on the weekend. Saturday is National Celebration of Life Day. That's a fantastic national day. Sunday's National Pie Day. I guarantee I'm going to be asking Melissa, my wife, to make me a pie this weekend after seeing that. But yeah, sometimes these national days suck, but sometimes they're pretty cool. But yeah, National Hugging Day. I don't even think I should bring that up in the middle of a pandemic, should I?
No, but now that you said it, I'm going to come hug you at your pizza shop.
Yeah, no. I actually, funny story, we're not streaming on the Fox's Pizza page this morning, so I can say this story because most likely none of my customers were watching. At the beginning of the pandemic, it was like literally late March, early April of 2020. Or when I don't even remember when the pandemic started. It's been so long.
2020.
Man. Yeah, it was like late March, early April. And I had been doing a lot of community stuff and a lot of helping out of people with the beginning of the fear of it at my shop, doing what I could to do my part to help everybody. And one of my customers came into the shop, and she came in just to say, Phil, you're doing a great job. Thank you very much. Can I give you a hug? And I'm like, I don't think so. I'm like, I don't think now's the time. And I said, honestly, even if it wasn't in the middle of a pandemic, I wouldn't want that hug anyway, because I'm not a hugger. The pandemic was great for me. I'm a fist pounder.
Your wife
I'm
might get
what's up?
mad.
Yeah, what's that?
Your wife might get mad.
No, she was an old lady, so no. Yeah, and knowing that now, she's probably watching, like, never going to call my pizza shop again.
My God.
She's
now
anyway.
mortified.
Yeah, exactly. Anyway, that's all joking aside there. All right, let's dive into it. So we're going to start. We're going to talk a lot of football today. It's obviously Football Friday, but we spent a lot of time this week talking Sixers, all the trade rumors and all the wins and what's going on in the MVP caliber season that Joel Embiid is having. Daryl Morey, and real quick to kind of link the two. Yesterday we talked about how good the Howie Roseman, Nick Sirianni press conference went. How they gave a lot. They didn't leave themselves open for controversy, but they said good things yesterday in their press conference. Daryl Morey went on the Mike Missinelli show, spoke a lot yesterday about the Ben Simmons rumors, the Tobias Harris rumors, the state of the Sixers. And he was so transparent and so like, what was the point of this interview? Because he really didn't give much, but he did say a few key things that I want to discuss. But I don't know what your opinions are on Daryl Morey. I know you're not as big of a basketball guy as me. When we brought Daryl Morey in, before last season, I kind of was skeptical because Daryl Morey, he's one of those GM president type guys. As a baseball fan, he's kind of like Dave Dombrowski. He swings for the fences, but at least Dombrowski has won a World Series before. Daryl Morey, wherever he goes, he swings for the fences all the time, but he hasn't actually won a title yet as a president or GM. He makes these big, bold splashes, so I wasn't 120% sold on bringing him in. And, he hasn't done a bad job, drafting Matisse Thybulle, drafting Tyrese Maxey, making some decent moves, bringing the trades for Seth Curry, getting, some of these deals that he's done have worked out. But again, we still haven't won a title. So yesterday, the first topic, I want to bring up from what he talked about was the fact that he brought up the topic that Joel Embiid's excessive, the level of play that he is playing at right now, the fact that he's playing at, ungodly levels changes what they have to do at the trade deadline. They could try to make smaller deals to bring in lesser players because Joel Embiid is doing such a great job of carrying this team. And I don't know if that's the right philosophy. And it's something that some people agree with, some people don't. I think you need to maximize this level that Joel is playing at and go all in at this point. The East is up for grabs. We talked about it yesterday. First through six is 2.5 games away from each other. But he thinks that you could hold on to Ben Simmons. I'm theorizing what he said. You can hold on to Ben Simmons till the offseason to make a bigger move once you can, make some smaller moves, just tweak the team, and just go with one star. And I'm pretty sure if you look around the NBA the last couple of years, teams with one star do not win titles. So what are your thoughts on that theory that because Joel Embiid's playing at an ungodly level, that you can kind of lessen what you need to do at the deadline because he's playing that good?
I mean, I think it's moronic. Honestly, I think 90% of us have been saying the fact that Joel Embiid is having, hitting his peak now and his next, couple, 2-3 years is the window. Why would you sit back on your laurels and say, oh, we have to get less players? No, to me, that's when you strike and you become aggressive and you go after the big fish and you try to maximize it, to use your word,
right?
The talent level on the team. I mean, I think that's the dumbest thing I've ever heard.
Yeah, I mean,
this guy out of his mind.
Well, yes. I mean, there is a thought process that he might be out of his mind. Absolutely. I mean, he did. Look, I don't want to say he's totally out of his mind. I get what he's saying and why he's saying
it. I get it,
but the thing is, this is not 2001 where Allen Iverson can lead, a Sixers team with Aaron McKee and Eric Snow and Theo Ratliff George Lynch as your small. This is not 2001, okay? This is the league of super teams. This is the league where you put big name players together, and that's really, I mean, if you go through the NBA, every contending team has 2 or 3 superstars on it. Miami Heat, Jimmy Butler, Bam Bayou, Kyle Lowry. They put together a super team down there in Miami. You got Zach LaVine with Lonzo Ball. I wouldn't call that a super team. I think they're going to fall down. They're not going to be the number 1 team, in the East for much longer. Milwaukee, Middleton. They went out and got Drew Holiday. They made the big move last year, and they won a title around, Giannis. That is how you win. The Nets, Harden, Lowry, Harden,
Kyrie.
Irving, and Durant. That is what you need to compete in this league to win a title. You're not going to do it with, Joel Embiid and going out and signing, or trading for another bench piece. So I get what he's saying, but I don't know if that's necessarily the right way.
Yeah, I definitely don't agree with that. I mean, I'm on your side of the argument. Like, I just think that I mean, listen, we know that we might not get, obviously, a Dame Lillard type player for Ben Simmons. We're already aware of that, but it doesn't change the fact that we should always be trying to look to improve the team. And I just think that's the easy way out for Morey. I think that's almost like code speak for Morey saying, like, okay, well, I'm not punting on the season, but Embiid's going to be our leader, and
he has to do it all. He has to play that hero ball all year long.
And you know what? That's fine and dandy. And then what happens when Embiid gets hurt, or Embiid has,
if that happens, then we're done. You know what I mean?
Well, I'm just saying, like, to me, I just think I don't think it's the smartest approach. I understand it, as you said. I get what he's saying.
Well, he did follow it up. Let me throw another part of that conversation in. And again, I don't have the transcript in front of me, but he basically said, what do you guys want us to do? Do you want me to trade Ben Simmons now for something that helps us get a little closer right now, but hurts us for the next 3 years, or be patient and hopefully the next 3 years we're much better off? And that part of his conversation, I get that. Are you going to trade Ben Simmons? I'm not saying for a rental, but for a guy that really is only going to make a little bit of improvement this year and not really take into account the future?
I mean, I guess I get that, but then again, how does it necessarily mean we're going to get somebody that doesn't help us, long term? Because if you're going to get, let's just say they went with that deal that's, Scotty's hypothetical deal yesterday.
Yeah.
Halliburton and
Buddy Hield or Barnes. I forget which one he had in there.
But
first round pick.
How would that not help you next year? Is that
well? That's actually, it's funny you said that, because that was going to be the third part of the conversation I was going to bring up, was that he said, he's been saying, or the rumors have been saying all along, he wanted a top 25, 30 player in return for Ben Simmons. He has said, he said yesterday that now, because of Joel Embiid's dominance, he could stretch that to a top 40 player that has potential. Before, I was against bringing in a Halliburton or a guy that's under 24 years old, because do we really, one of our best players right now, Tyrese Maxey, he's 21 years old. You can't really think that he's ready to be the leader on a point guard leader on a championship caliber team. You can't put that type of pressure on a 21-year-old, but in 2 to 3 years, he may be that guy. So I was against bringing in another super young player that might not be quite ready for that big moment. And I think that's how Daryl Morey originally was thinking. Like, Halliburton is young. I don't even know. I think he might only be 21 or 22 also. He's not a top 20 player right now. Could he be? Absolutely. So now Daryl Morey did say he could stretch his window of who he's looking at, so that, if they can get, and I think when he made this statement, he was looking directly at the Sacramento Kings and saying, we want Halliburton now, because Halliburton could help this team a little bit now. He shoots 42% from deep. He plays decent defense, etc. But in 2 to 3 years, when him and Maxey hit 25 years old, Joel Embiid's kind of at the tail end of his peak. You still have Joel Embiid playing pretty good basketball, and you have two young stud guards playing side by side. So I think that's what the 3 points we've discussed here all lead to that part where now he's willing to take that younger player that has top 25 potential in return for Ben Simmons.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's a lot to be said to that, and I really liked Scott. The more I thought about it yesterday after the show, I really liked Scotty's proposal.
Mm-hmm.
I think it really gives you a lot of flexibility moving forward because obviously getting those 2 first rounders, down the line next year, maybe you're able to package those and I would hate to part with a maxi, but the fact that you have a maxi helps you, if you want to get a guy like, say a guy like Dame does become available, now you have the ammo to get him.
Yep.
Especially with the 2 first round picks. So I think it's definitely something that, like I said, is it going to get done this year or is it going to, linger into the offseason? Who knows? But I don't know. I'm a little miffed at Morey, but then again,
I'm tired of talking about it, honestly.
But then again, like you said, it could be blowing smoke too, because just like we said about the Eagles, like just because Sirianni and Howie came out and said Jalen is definitely the quarterback next year, doesn't mean that if an Aaron Rodgers came available or whatever, or Russell Wilson, that they wouldn't, look at those options. Like, so it's easy to just say something, but does it necessarily? Because I remember last year's press conference when they said, "Oh, Carson will be the quarterback in 2021," and 2 months later he was out. So I don't necessarily
Peterson said he was keeping Mike Grohl as his offensive coordinator. Then 30 minutes later, Mike Grohl got fired.
Later.
Things can change like at a snap of a finger right there. But
so I think that Morey, he's
trying to plant the seeds to get the other GMs talking to bring him in. He did say that Sacramento, which I was surprised he said this, because to me, in my mind, it kind of hurts the trade value or the trade negotiations a little bit. He did say that he thinks Sacramento is the best trade partner in a Ben Simmons trade because they got Halliburton, they got Hield, they got a lot of pieces that financially work, that big picture help. But he did also follow it up and say what I've been saying all along, that most likely it'll probably end up being a 3-team deal to get it done. So he likes some of the core pieces there in Sacramento. I just think he doesn't think that they could get enough from Sacramento for what he wants. So I think it's interesting. I love to hear talks and the interviews because I know they never say anything. But if you read between the tea leaves, sometimes you can see and hear what they really mean. And I really think he wants to get a deal done from what he said yesterday with Sacramento. I think he wants to get a deal done this week from what he said yesterday in the press conference with Sacramento. I just don't know if he can get it done, and that's the problem.
Yeah, you don't know if it's going to come to fruition because you don't know if they're going to end up parting with enough. But like you said, it could be, if a third team gets available or becomes, comes into the talks. But
and that's where that Tobias Harris talk comes in because I know that there's been talk that Sacramento wants Ben and Tobias, but that's just, in my opinion, I don't know how any team trades for both those guys. It's a salary cap nightmare for the Sixers. Why would anyone else want that salary cap nightmare? I don't know. Unless it's because a team like Sacramento would think that we can't attract a star, so maybe we just bring in 2 stars and, in a smaller market, maybe the 2 of them work well together. I don't know. I don't think, I just think it's crazy. I can't see that happening at all. So that's where that third team comes available. You throw Tobias Harris somewhere, you get another piece, you work all the picks, you connect the dots. I still think that's the best option and best route for this team. But yeah, I'm going to still go back to Scotty's trade from yesterday, the Halliburton and whoever it was, Barnes, I think it was, and 2 firsts, for Ben Simmons. I think that's a fair enough trade. Helps you now. It gets you Halliburton to help with your scoring. Barnes, really good player, helps with scoring and defense. And then you get 2 first-round picks. And like I said, Halliburton in 2 years, man, Halliburton and Maxey, going down in the next 2 years could be some of the best backcourts in basketball. Plus, you have 2 first-round picks now. If you need to make a sign and trade for James Harden or need to make a sign and trade for another superstar to add to that package for the future. So,
I think if you want my opinion, I mean, you already talked about Daryl Morey being swinging for the fences and
he is
being
basically,
a heavy
in my
hitter.
opinion,
I
Dave
think
Dombrowski in the NBA
he
without
has
the
his
title.
eye on James Harden.
He absolutely has his eye on
whether or not James will actually get traded is a different story. But
he is a free agent, but you don't really, you're better off doing because of the salary cap situations. It would have to be like a sign, kind of like with Kyle Lowry going to Miami. It was a sign and trade.
I think Morey, and I think Morey now, obviously playing hindsight 2020, probably wishes that he would have done that deal last year when it was Simmons and he didn't want to get rid of Max.
I don't think that deal was actually on the table because I think Houston, because there's some animosity between Houston and Daryl Morey because the way he left Houston. I think Daryl Morey made the offer of Ben Simmons and all those picks and stuff like that for James Harden, but I don't think Houston wanted to do business with Daryl Morey. And I think that's actually, I don't think Daryl Morey turned that offer down. I think Houston turned that because what Brooklyn gave up for James Harden was nowhere near equal to Ben Simmons and the picks and everything that the rumors were that we were offering for James Harden. So, if I'm wrong and it was, Philly turning it down, then yes, I think Daryl Morey would be I agree with you, but I don't think that Houston, I think it was the other way around personally. I think Houston turned it down.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you on that. But like I said, he's definitely in the sights. I mean, it's got to be Harden or
he's got to be swinging for that. Absolutely, in my opinion. I agree with you 110%. He loves that. I mean, if you look at it, he was in Oklahoma City for a little while with Harden. He was in Houston with Harden. He tried to get Harden with the Sixers last year. It's literally like Harden attached to the hip with Daryl Morey. But it's also because Daryl Morey loves swinging for the fences and getting James Harden to be swinging for the fences. You bring in James Harden, you're obviously trying to win a title right away. So I don't know. It's an interesting topic. Real quick, we got to spend a lot of time talking football here today. Sixers play the Clippers tonight. Tyrese Maxey still out with the bad shoulder from his fall. Danny Green, Shake Milton, both still out. Seth Curry is questionable, which would be a big loss. But the Clippers are still playing without Marcus Morris. They're still playing it without Kawhi Leonard. Paul George is still out. Nicholas Batum still out. So they've lost 3 of their last 4 of the Clippers. Even with the outs and the possible out of Seth Curry, the Sixers are still 8-point favorites at home at the Wells Fargo Center. In my opinion, it should be no matter who's out for the Sixers, as long as Joel Embiid's playing. A team like the Clippers, as shorthanded as they are, this should be a clear-cut victory for anyone heading down there tonight to have a nice, fun Friday watching some Sixers basketball. The place will be jumping. Clear-cut victory in my opinion. No doubt about it. You there?
Did I lose you?
Maybe you lost me there for a second. I heard a ding, like your oven, your toaster oven, like dinged or something like that in the background.
Thought I lost
toaster
you.
ovens. I don't know. Sixers win tonight, no doubt about it, in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean the Sixers. You already mentioned it. This is their easiest stretch of the season. This is the kind of time where you have to take care of business, and obviously they have been. I think they're on pace to actually finish exactly where you said or better. So your prediction is spot on.
They are so far 7-2 this month with 6 games left. So, and I wanted 11 to 12 wins. So they're literally right on par with what I said they should do this month.
They're right on line.
Right on line. Hey, it's good to be right. It really is, It's good to be me,
Yeah, well, I was right about a couple things. I was right about the Bills last week.
Yeah, you're right about quite a few things. You strangely get a lot of predictions right. I don't know. You time travel or something. You're spot on a lot of the time, man. So
I know my football.
You know your football. Well, that's what we're going to talk about now for the rest of the show. It is divisional round. It is Football Friday, divisional round playoffs. And we're going to break down the 4 games, give our predictions for these 4 games. But as we're talking about these 4 games, I want to make sure we're keeping in mind the Eagles while we're talking about these games, because I want to compare these games and how far the Eagles are or aren't as far from being on the same level as these last 8 teams that are in. And obviously they're not on the level of any of these 8 teams. But are they as far away as we think? So let's start with the Saturday games, okay? And first off, in general speaking, do you agree with me that all 4 games have the potential to be really close games that could go either way?
Absolutely. I'm looking at it right now. I think every matchup is a great matchup.
Absolutely.
Like it might be the best divisional round of playoffs we've ever watched.
Yeah, I agree with you. I mean, and it's funny because the way it shook out, because you got the Bengals and the Titans starting the round off on Saturday at 4:30. But say it was like the Bills versus the Titans or the Bills versus the Bengals, that would be the Bills as a favorite, to blow them out. As the Bills playing the Chiefs, that should be a close game. If it was like the Bengals versus the Chiefs, might not be considered such a close game, but the Chiefs versus the Bills, close game. Same thing with the 49ers or the Rams Buccaneers game. If you switch out those teams, it could turn into a blowout in one of those games. But the way this lines up, every game has the potential to be a barn burner, to be super close, to be a dogfight, whether it's low scoring or high scoring. I'm super excited for every one of these games. And it starts with the Bengals and the Titans on Saturday at 4:30. The Titans are a 3.5-point dog. I really think it comes down to whether Derrick Henry plays, obviously, how you predict it. And I'm on DraftKings right now, and Mike Vrabel said yesterday that he has been practicing all week. They're going to wait till they have till 4 o'clock today to announce whether Derrick Henry is going to come off IR. But he has practiced pretty much in full all week. So it seems like Derrick Henry is trending to playing, which makes this a great game, because I don't think the Titans really, are as good without Derrick Henry. Foreman has been a good backup running back, a serviceable backup, but he's not the monster that Derrick Henry is. How do you see this game shaking out and playing out?
It's crazy because obviously the Titans, won the bye and won the AFC without Derrick Henry. So that to me in itself speaks volumes about that team. That's why I picked Vrabel as coach of the year, because of what he was able to accomplish with that team. Obviously they lost AJ Brown for a good amount of time and Julio Jones as well. So for that team to be be where they're at is pretty much, I don't want to say a miracle, but it shows that the depth of the team. Obviously, if you're looking at this matchup on paper, I realistically want to say that the Bengals are like the hot shot start team, upstart team. It's got Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase. That Burrow, Jamar Chase, you just put it up there. Yeah. Burrow is way better than Tannehill. Yes. But you know what? The thing with Tannehill is a lot of people underrate him, and a lot of people sleep on Tannehill. If you looked at Tannehill's numbers, even just last year, his numbers were top 7 in the league. I mean, he had 35 touchdowns and like 7 rushing touchdowns. I think he had 42 touchdowns last year. So Ryan Tannehill is no slouch. I just think Ryan Tannehill kind of gets lumped into that group of quarterbacks as like a game manager, but he's really not. Ryan Tannehill is capable of putting up, monster numbers. It's just the games this year have not played out that way. I think losing Derrick Henry, hurt the team, but Dante Foreman, I mean, he rushed for 560 yards and 3 touchdowns and a 4.2 clip. So the guy's not some bum off the street. He was I believe he was a first or a second round pick a couple years prior. So I think this is a pretty even matchup. I think if you look at the Bengals, you might say, oh, they have more weapons. I agree with you. I think it's going to be a very close game.
I mean, it's a 3.5-point line.
I don't know if we're going to give our predictions at the end, or are we doing?
You can give them as we go here. I mean, I'll forget them. I mean, I don't have really score predictions per se, but the Bengals, I just don't know. I mean, this is I put this up here as a joke, kind of, sort of, but Burrow is greater than Tannehill. Burrow is greater than Tannehill big picture, big scheme. Obviously, Tannehill has the more experience right now. But I guess if I had to predict it, and if Derrick Henry plays, this is all contingent on Derrick Henry playing. And to address your, Tannehill thing, yes, Tannehill does get a little bit of a short end of the stick. He can put up great numbers, but doesn't have to because of the way Derrick Henry has played over the last 2 seasons. So, I mean, he's got A.J. Brown, one of the most elite wide receivers in football. Is it a stretch to say he's a top 5 wide receiver in football?
Who, A.J. Brown?
Yeah.
I don't think it's a stretch. I think
No?
if you looked at fantasy football, which a lot of times is a little different than regular NFL, but it kind of mirrors
the stats and stuff like that.
A.J. Brown going into this season was the number 1 wide receiver on the board, in fantasy. So that's, A.J. Brown's
It's not a stretch at all then to say that.
No.
All right. So, yeah. So, Tannehill, A.J. Brown. So the way when you predict this game, you guys say, what's better? Tannehill, Derrick Henry, A.J. Brown, or Joe Burrow, Joe Mixon, Jamar Chase. And you got to think the experience with the Titans just squeaks out that win then.
Well, let's break it down. So if you look at offensively, so total yards, Bengals are 10th in the league. They have 382 yards a game. Titans come in at 16th in the league at 361. So it's like 20-yard difference. So offensively, they're pretty even, I would say. Right. Passing, Bengals come in at 7th with 259 yards. That's where there's a huge difference. Titans come in at 24th at 200 yards passing a game. So they're not really passing the ball. Now, obviously, a lot of that had to do with A.J. Brown and Julio being out. They're both going to be healthy in this game. So I think that kind of scratches that out. The rushing yards is where it's a real difference. So the Bengals were only 23rd in the league at only a little bit over 100 yards a game. Titans, 141 rushing yards a game. Now, don't forget, like I said, Ryan Tannehill is a sneaky runner. He'll get like 30 to 40 rushing yards a game.
He's kind of like an Alex Smith where you don't realize how athletic.
Exactly. So I think that helps.
Ryan Tannehill, everybody forgets he was a wide receiver till his junior year in college. So, he has that athleticism for sure. Normally, quarterbacks turn into wide receivers, not wide receivers turning into quarterbacks.
Exactly. And then so that's the offense, and they're 17th and 15th respectively in points given up. So it's very even on offense, I would say. Obviously, Titans get the edge on the running, Bengals get the edge on the passing. Now, when you go onto the defensive side of the ball, the Bengals are 20th in the league, 367 yards a game. Titans are 13th with 348 yards given up. And then as far as
evenly matched up.
Huh?
Pretty evenly matched.
Yeah, and that's what I mean. And then points, the points is a big difference though. Titans are 5th. They only give up 20 points a game. Bengals are 17th. They give up 22. But that just shows you the parity in the league. So I think it's extremely even matchup. I do, and I think obviously I give the edge to the Titans as far as experience with Ryan Tannehill and being in the playoffs last year. Bengals, that's the only thing I could say as far as the Bengals as being a knock is they're young. They have a lot of, guys that haven't been there. If you're looking
I'm writing down predictions here. So I'm gonna predict basically everything you said. Like I said, it's going to be a super close game because again, the matchups have just worked out so perfectly to have fun football. I got Titans winning 27-24 over the Bengals. The experience just wins out, but we have a little Burrow magic. It looks exciting, and then he gets to go into the offseason, continue to grow, and maybe next year take that next step. But you got to go in this game at this point in the playoffs with the experience of Tannehill, Vrabel, and you forget about how good of a experienced coach Mike Vrabel is as well. So 27-24 Titans.
All right. Well, I can't believe
I'm writing mine down. You write yours down because I can't keep track of everything.
Oh, I thought you were going to write mine down because I don't have a pen.
All right, I'll write yours down. Let me get a bigger piece of scratch paper then if I got to write yours down too. Let's see. So I got 27-24.
I can't believe how close you are to mine. This is going to blow your mind.
All right, what do you got?
So I have the Bengals 28-24 over the Titans. I mean, the Titans 28-24 over the Bengals. Sorry.
Gotcha.
Yeah, so we're very close on our
We're
prediction.
very close on that first one there. All right.
I think everything that we said, and then I also think the edge. Obviously, the Titans are at home. I think in the playoffs, it does mean a lot. I mean, playing in front of your home crowd. I think they're going to be amped up. Obviously, they want to prove that they're not a slouch and they belong, as the number one team. So
agree with you 100%. All right. So then the next game on Saturday, 8:15 on Fox. Means we'll get Aikman and Buck on this game here probably. We got the 49ers traveling to Green Bay, the frozen tundra. Hold on. I got sound of it.
The frozen tundra of Lambeau Field.
49ers at the Packers. I've been waiting for the right moment to use that sound effect. I think that was the right moment, right?
The frozen tundra of Lambeau Field.
So we got 49ers, Buccaneers, or Packers. Packers are a 5.5-point favorite, which on paper kind of makes you think, shouldn't they be more favored against the 49ers? But again, the 49ers defense versus the Packers offense, it's a really good matchup, isn't it?
I mean, yeah, I look at this. I think the 49ers are one of those teams that, once again, a lot of people are sleeping on. And I think a lot of it has to do with the quarterback position. If you look at Jimmy Garoppolo, to me, he's like the prototypical. See, I hate the term system quarterback because I believe that it's an insult. I believe that every team has a system that they run, and certain quarterbacks fit certain systems better. I don't really think that the term system quarterback was ever really designed to be a good thing. I just think when people use that, to me, it seems like it's more of an insult to the guy. Every quarterback that makes the NFL is somewhat pretty good. You don't make the NFL as a piece of crap. You're doing something right when you're in the NFL. So every quarterback is good. It's just a matter of you have levels. You have an Aaron Rodgers level, which is elite, and then you have a good quarterbacks, and then you have your guys that end up being career backups. Doesn't mean they're bad. Doesn't mean they're system. Because like I said, every team has a different system. But Jimmy Garoppolo would fit that term if you were going to use it as the system quarterback. He's not a guy that he doesn't have flashy numbers. He doesn't throw for 400 yards a game. He doesn't necessarily run for 3 touchdowns. He does a lot of things. He does a lot of things, I would say, average to good, but he doesn't do anything spectacular in my mind. So I think that would be the reason why a lot of people look at the Niners and say, well, they're not really, one of the better teams in the playoffs. But you mentioned their defense. They're 5th in the league in defensive yards allowed, and they're 9th in points allowed. So they're doing something right on that side of the ball. And they run the football
effectively.
You're talking about a team that kind of uses a committee. You have Elijah Mitchell, who came out of nowhere this year. He was like a 5th-round pick. I believe he wasn't. Trey Sermon was the higher pick, and Trey Sermon kind of fell off the fit. I think he started one game, and then he got hurt, and then Elijah Mitchell took over. He almost rushed for 1,000 yards this year and 5 touchdowns. Oh, and then, by the way, you have a guy named Deebo Samuel, who has quickly become one of the most fun players to watch in the NFL. This guy, if you have not watched the 49ers game, you're missing out, because Deebo Samuel is the real deal. Not only in real football, but in fantasy football. Look at the guy's numbers. I mean, he had 1,400 yards receiving and 6 touchdowns, and then he rushed for 600 yards and another 8 touchdowns. The guy is a beast. I mean, the guy's big. When you hear Deebo Samuel, I think of that guy from the movies, that Debo. What was that? What movie was that? Back in the day.
You got me on that one. I don't know.
Oh, crap. Why am I not?
Anyway. I don't know.
I can't
Move on. Yeah, I don't know.
Remember.
We don't have an intern to do research for us while we're talking, so sorry.
Yeah, we need an intern or a producer.
So not only do I need something to name my hotline, so right now my hotline for call-ins, for guests, for special guests, it's the I have no sponsor hotline, Now we need an intern also for trending in the AM. You didn't hear that one the other day when I had Vince Quinn on the other day. I welcomed Vince Quinn middle of the show. I'm like, and joining us on the I Have No Sponsor hotline, it's Vince Quinn. So, I need a sponsor for that, and now we need an intern. That would make this a lot more interesting if we had an intern. But anyway, back to the game.
Yeah, Deebo Samuel.
Deebo Samuel is – and the great thing about Deebo Samuel is that they know how – he has obviously a skill set that's amazing, but they're actually utilizing him properly as well. And that just goes to show that they're running that offense the way it should be. Jimmy Garoppolo, you don't want to use the term system quarterback, but he is definitely in that term game manager type quarterback. And I think this team is the one you could compare to the Eagles situation the best.
It is.
To an extent, because they have a great running back committee that runs the ball effectively. They don't have a superstar quarterback yet. And if the Eagles can improve their defense, but run out the same type of offense that they have, they could be on a comparable, plane, because a great defense, strong running game. Eagles have the best running game, and a quarterback that can manage the game and not turn the ball over. You can make a run in the playoffs.
I think the Niners, like I said, they're one of those teams that aren't going to get the credit that they deserve, but they're also a team that I look at as being like a sleeper team that could like pull. If there was a team in this playoffs that could pull an upset, it's definitely the Niners. I mean, they already did. They upset the Cowboys,
right.
And the Cowboys were a lot of people's predictions to make it to the NFC Championship, if not the Super Bowl, with that talent around Dak. I mean, talk about a team that shit the bed. I think, listen, I think they're a sleeper team, but then again, we haven't talked about the other team that they're playing. Right. They're going up against Green Bay, who was my pick to make the Super Bowl coming, before the year. I had Green Bay versus the Bills. Mm-hmm. I think, Aaron Rodgers, obviously, a lot of people don't like Aaron Rodgers because I don't know if you heard about his, he made comments. He dropped the F-bomb on an interview, but it's like, listen,
what
the guy's real.
There's a lot of superstar quarterbacks in the last 20 years I didn't like, but they're still superstar quarterbacks.
Exactly. You might not like them.
Fantastic they are.
A lot of people don't like Tom Brady because he's arrogant and trash.
Yeah, exactly.
But I think this is I think this game, like I said, will it be close? Yes, but I think the Packers are still the supreme team in the NFC, and I don't see the Niners beating them. I do think it will be a fairly competitive game. I don't think it's going to be a blowout, because like you said, the Niners can run the ball. They control time of possession. If they can keep Aaron Rodgers off the field, I definitely think it will limit, the opportunities for those splash plays. Mm-hmm. But I think at the end of the day, I'm definitely going to go Green Bay in this one. And
you can write your prediction down first this time, or give me
my prediction. I don't think it's going to be super high scoring. Mm-hmm. I think it's going to be Green Bay 28, 49ers 21.
Okay. Again, we're close. I got 27-20 Green Bay. And I actually almost think that might be too high of a score. I think it might even go down to it's going to be super cold, obviously. Maybe it's 24-18, something like that as well. But yeah, I mean, I'm struggling even to get Green Bay to 27 points because I keep looking at this 49ers defense and just going through the game log, against Dallas last week, 230 yards passing, 70. They held them to 307 yards of offense. The week before, week 18 against the Rams, they held the Rams to 265 of offense. The week before that, 222 yards of offense. They haven't given up a 100-yard rusher since week 13. And they haven't given up a 300-yard passer since week 14. They've only given up 2 300-yard passers all season long. So I'm almost trying to lean myself to changing that score to even lower but even if Aaron Rodgers throws for 250 yards, I still think they can put up 27 points. So that's kind of where I'm at with that. Again, a fantastic matchup though.
Most definitely. I'm actually, really looking at it. I'm excited because my favorite player, my favorite non-Eagle is Devontae Adams in the NFL. Like, I'm enamored with Devontae Adams, like what he does on the football field. And then, to get to watch Deebo Samuel is like I said, I'm like gushing over. I know I sound like a fanboy, but the guy's just, I remember when Deebo Samuel was drafted and like, it was like, man, this guy's a freak. And then obviously he had injury history. He was hurt. He was out, like, I believe a whole full season. I know they drafted Brandon Ayuk pretty high too. And then, obviously he was like, quote unquote, their wide receiver 1 last year. But I always knew that Deebo Samuel was like, he's just a weapon that you don't really see. It's like a throwback weapon because he does it all. And you're right. They use him to his skills, which is a lot what we complain about the Eagles not using players to their skills. I mean, we've said it with Rager. I can't stand Rager, but I think Rager does have some like skills that are untapped because the Eagles don't use them. Rager has those kind of like, intangible skills, like, maybe throw him out as like a running back and kind of go out wide. I don't know. It's just kind of stuff like that. But it comes out when you see Deebo Samuel play that they're using this guy to every skill set that he has and maximizing it.
All right, let's move on to let's move on to Sunday. We spent too long on Saturday, so we got 12 minutes left to talk 2 more games here. So Rams Buccaneers, 3 p.m. I love 3 p.m. time slot. I think it's a great time slot for a football game for us East Coast people. Buccaneers, obviously defending champions. Rams. Matthew Stafford finally got off the snide with the playoff win last week. Again, a fantastic matchup. Is this the moment where Brady goes down? That is the key in my mind. Does Brady go down? I mean, the Rams have an amazing defense. Ramsey, he's going to cover and lock down Mike Evans. You got Von Miller. You got Aaron Donald. They can knock down Tom Brady a little bit. And even when you knock down Tom Brady a little bit, he still puts up numbers. So is this the moment where finally Matthew Stafford continues to fix his reputation and Tom Brady, he's done? Is it that moment?
You know what, dude? I didn't think I was going to say this, but I'm going to go out on a limb here. I think Brady goes down.
Yeah.
I think Tampa Bay is ripe for the taking. I'm taking the Rams.
I already wrote the score down beforehand. My score prediction.
Okay.
31-24 Rams.
I'm taking Rams 35, Tampa Bay 31.
There you go. Yeah. I mean, the Rams, I just think that this is potentially their year. The Buccaneers defense is really good. Don't get me wrong. Obviously, it's one of the top defenses, but so is the Rams. I just think that at some point, Tom Brady magic has to run out. And why not this week? Why not?
I mean, I think if there's a team that could beat Tampa Bay, it's the Rams because the Rams can keep up with that offense. Obviously,
Absolutely.
Tom Brady doesn't have as many weapons either. Don't forget, I know he put up 30 some points on the Eagles, but and that was with only just Mike Evans and Gronk. But the Rams defense is way superior to the Eagles.
Mm-hmm.
I see the Rams as a team that can compete with their offense, and I think Tampa Bay, with the injuries that they've had this year, their defense is not on the same level as the Rams. So I'm going Rams, and I definitely agree. I'm surprised me and you agree on all 3 games.
Yeah, so far we're 3 for 3, and I'm almost guaranteeing we're going to go 4 for 4 on this. I just think that we didn't even mention Cooper Kupp. I mean, we talked about how great AJ Brown was, but Cooper Kupp, he's Cooper Kupp, 145 catches. He fell 53 yards short of 2,000 yards receiving this year. You throw in OBJ, who obviously was not washed like some of us thought. OBJ is finally starting to find his rhythm there. Cam Akers, coming back after like 3 weeks after tearing his Achilles. It should be 3 years of recovery, but he came back in 3 weeks. Then that defense, I agree with you. They could compete. They could throw shots with the Buccaneers. I'm just going to go out on a limb here and say that, if anything, I originally thought about writing down 31-21 Rams. I kind of changed and said, all right, maybe Tom Brady won't go down that easily. But yeah, I don't see why we can't be talking about a Green Bay LA championship game next weekend on Football Friday.
You know what's crazy too about the Rams is that they've really been able to do it. So they lost Cam Akers pretty much for the season in training camp. Then you had Daryl Henderson come in, who Daryl Henderson, a lot of people were really high on. He's a pretty high draft pick, I think second rounder. Daryl Henderson had a tremendous – nobody's even talking about it now because he's out for the year. He's on IR. But he had a great year early in the year.
Yep.
And then when he went down, they didn't miss a beat because they had traded for Sony Michel from the Patriots, who are all of a sudden loaded at running back talent. And Sony Michel almost ran for 1,000 yards.
Yeah.
And if you looked at the Rams when they struggled, they went away from that running game. And I heard an interview with Sean McVay where he said he wanted to get back to the running game. And if you looked at last week's game, they ran the football. So Sony Michel is definitely not a slouch. And then, oh, by the way, like you said, Cam Akers is back. So if they can run the ball, that team's dangerous because any team that has Cooper Kupp and those wide, OBJ, Van Jefferson, and Matt Stafford.
Tyler Higbee.
Yeah, exactly. And Matt Stafford could sling the football. Let's face it. He might throw some interceptions, but he's a gunslinger. Matt Stafford reminds me of Brett Favre. He's like a guy that he's going to throw picks, but I love Matt Stafford. I know a lot of people were down on him and saying, oh, well, he hasn't won anything yet.
I said it till he won something. Now I can't say that. Now I can't say that anymore.
Matt Stafford is supremely talented. He's still one of the better quarterbacks in this league, and I love watching him. And you're right, Cooper Kupp. Wow, we didn't even mention him, and we
didn't even talk about Cooper.
Wow.
All right, well, you want to talk about wow and stuff like that? Let's look at Bills Chiefs, the final game. Man, I mean, this is a great matchup. We're going to be watching Patrick Mahomes versus Josh Allen in the playoffs. That may be
for
becoming
10 years.
That might be the next Brady versus Manning kind of thing. Whether it's that or if you think about it, it could be Herbert, Burrow, Allen, and so that's basically right now we've got the brand new Brady, Manning, Phillip Rivers, and who else was big at that? Like there are 4 elite quarterbacks that I just threw Herbert's name in there and he hasn't even made the playoffs yet. But anyway, Bills Chiefs. Again, the Bills offense is rolling. They had some down moments this year, but the Bills are exactly where I think the Eagles can be. They had Josh Allen, a bad quarterback, drafted too soon, too much pressure put on him, and he was stinking the boat up. They didn't give up hope. They built the team around him properly, and now look at them. My preseason prediction was Buffalo versus Green Bay in the Super Bowl. And I'm going to stick with it, and I'm going to say Buffalo beats the Chiefs here today or tomorrow on Sunday. I'm going to say it because it's going to be a shootout, no doubt about it. It's not going to be super, super bitter cold. It'll be right around 40 degrees. I mean, I'm just going to go with and I'm going to say it because the momentum is on. Buffalo's got momentum right now. They're moving the ball. They got confidence. Josh Allen is slinging the ball so well, and the defense is playing really well. So I'm going Buffalo in this game, 38-35 in a massive shootout with Patrick Mahomes just not getting the job done in the final 2 minutes.
Wow. Well, I think it's crazy that you and I not only agreed on our Super Bowl picks coming into the year, Green Bay, Buffalo.
Yep.
But the fact that we're going to go 4 for 4 here on this prediction Friday.
Yeah.
Because I'm definitely going Bills, and this is not this is not an easy thing for me to do because you're talking about Pat Mahomes here and you're talking about the Chiefs. But I just think Buffalo is set up this year, and they actually added an element to the team that they didn't really have the last 2 years, and they've actually run the football other than just Josh Allen. Like Devin Singletary's kind of come into his own this year. I don't know if he's done it because a lot of people aren't talking about it, but Devin Singletary was another guy. He's only 23 years old.
Right.
And then I remember they went out and drafted Zach Moss. because, they thought, oh, Devin Singletary is not the answer. But
Right.
The fact that they're so multi-dimensional on this team, it's going to be hard for me to go against the Bills. And I agree. I think it's going to be a shootout. As much as the Bills have the number 1 ranked defense in the NFL, with points given up and yards, they're not holding down the Chiefs.
No.
And it's the playoffs. So I'm going to say, dude, I'm going higher on my prediction than you.
Oh, jeez. I thought I was nuts for my prediction.
No. I'm going to go Bills 42, Chiefs 38.
Wow. Man, we're really racking. You better bet that over, man. Bet that over. That's an 80-point game right there. Damn. I mean, I thought I was nuts at 38-35, but that's really nuts at 42-38.
I know I'm going to come out wrong on it, but
we'll be right on one of them. If we go 1 for 4, that's a win. So we both have next week. We've got Tennessee playing the Bills. So I'll be in Tennessee. We got the Packers playing the Rams in Green Bay. Man, they'll be too good for. If we're right on these 4 games, next weekend's games are going to be even better. This is shaping up to be a fantastic playoff run. It's a shame the Eagles aren't in it. I'm still rocking my Eagles gear. I know a lot of people are down on the Eagles. I don't care. I'm still rocking Eagles gear. So are you, Jason. It's fantastic.
I love the Eagles. Listen, we have a lot to be hopeful for with the Eagles. I just think, especially with 3 first-round picks. Yep. I'm going to be interested to see if they actually make 3 first-round picks, or if they use 2 of them, or they trade one out. Or obviously, we have a lot to talk about for the offseason, but a lot of hope for this team. I think the Bills are the team that I look at, and I know I get trashed for it because but you've done the same thing. Like, I'm not saying that Jalen Hurts is Josh Allen. I got it. Josh Allen has supreme arm strength talent.
Yep.
But I consider the situations similar in that Josh Allen was pretty much, if you looked at his first 2 years, I mean, he had almost only a 50% completion percentage. The guy couldn't hit the barn side of a barn. It was ugly.
Yeah, I
agree.
agree.
They went out. They got Stephon Diggs.
Went out and improved the defense.
They had a guy work with Josh Allen closely at his accuracy. They worked on his weakness. They spent the time and they put it in. And now look at Josh Allen. Josh Allen, you can't tell me coming into the draft that Josh Allen was a top 3-4 NFL quarterback. He wasn't. And now he is, because he worked on his craft, which is exactly what Jalen Hurts is going to do. I'm not saying it's going to happen. I'm not saying he's going to become a franchise guy, but I'm saying he can become a franchise guy. And that's the difference. And that's where you and I I think we get misunderstood by our takes.
I've been misunderstood for 41 years now, man. I'm used to it. Hey, all right. So it's the weekend. Any hot plans? Any hot dates this weekend, Jason? Anything going on?
Work. As you said.
That pretty much answers my question, or my answer as well. Work some more. Maybe get my wife to make me a pie because Sunday is National Pie Day. But that's about it.
Work.
Work. Anyway, everybody, this is Trending in the AM. Wrapping up another week right here on DSM Media. Make sure you're following us. Facebook, Twitter, Twitch, YouTube. And make sure you're tapped in on YouTube because you're not going to want to miss a minute of any of the great action at all. I mean, I just got a notification from Jeremy, my former, co-host on the show. On Monday, his new show, Broad Street Bulls, him and George Ryder are doing. He's got, what's the guy's name here? Kendall Simmons. He's a member of the Phillies farm system. He's going to be a guest on their show on Monday night at 9 p.m. So much great stuff happening at DSM Media. So make sure you're tapped in. I'm going to be doing a special pop-up episode of Trending for 4 Quarters tonight for 20 minutes or so. Buddy Walters, the CEO of Pro Level Sports Agency. You know Buddy Walters because he's the nephew of Buddy Ryan, the cousin of Rex and Rob Ryan. Him and the CEO of GP Management, Sam Gordon. They're going to be joining me tonight at 9 p.m. right here on DSM Media for a brief they have a special announcement to make. They're getting all their players at their sports agencies ready for the USFL draft that's coming up in a few weeks. So they have a special announcement. So we're going to use a special pop-up Trending for 4 Quarters to talk about them, getting their players ready for the draft, football, and also their special announcements. So check that out. And then right after I'm done, the next episode of Broad Street Bulls with Jeremy and George will be on tonight. So there's a lot happening on DSM Media, even on a Friday night. So make sure you're tapped in and following all of us and following the shows. And make sure you follow my man Jason here at Mustaine. Let me put your handles back up on the screen here. At Mustaine3651, me at Beard and Knowledge on Twitter. We greatly appreciate all the support. Another week in the books. We'll be back Monday. I think, Jason, you'll be here on Monday, right?
I will.
And Mark will be joining me for Overreaction Monday. So much happening. Great job last night by the boys with Mark Forzetta on the Faithful Fanatics. Man, just tap into DSM Media. We're taking it to new heights this year. And as always, we're brought to you by Manscaped, the leader in men's grooming products, the GOAT in below-the-waist maintenance. Check them out, manscaped.com. Promo code TRENDING at checkout, 20% off and free shipping. And if you want to sponsor Trending in the AM, hit me up, man. I don't want to call it I have no sponsor hotline anymore. I want to call it something. I want a hashtag Overreaction Monday brought to you by your company. So hit me up. My DMs are always open, or stop by the pizza shop. You can always talk to me there as well. Everybody have a great weekend. And even though they're not playing, oops, that was the wrong sound effect right there. That was like some cheat. Oh, I hit this. What is that?
Dude.
That's some cheesy music here.
The guy, the Aguilar meme, the guy that.
Yeah. What was that? Wrong button. This is what I meant to say as we play off the air. Go Birds.
Go Birds. Go Birds.